welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. I'm back today with another paper pad use up video. So for those of you that haven't seen this series before, I'm creating a set of videos to show you how to use this whole paper pad up. So I think we're on maybe the 8th video in the series now. So I'll link the playlist below so that you can see all of the others, and if you want to see a look through the paper pad, you can see that in the first couple of videos. But today we're going to go straight into making. So for today's video, I have selected some of my favourite fancy fold cards. And they're favourites of mine because they're pretty simple to do, but being fancy folds, they kind of look really pretty and different once you've done them. And also it's a really good way to use up some of your paper stash. So I'm going to start with a diamond flip fold card. So I've got a 5.5 by 11 piece of navy cardstock, and this one is the navy matte from Paperbox Limited, and I'm going to score that in the middle, so that's at 5.5 inches. Then I'm also going to score it at 2 3/4 inches, so that you've got these two folds on this side, and then I'm just going to mark it at 2 3/4 inches on this side, and I'm going to line up this line and this line here, and then I'm going to cut off that corner. So my trimmer has a cutting and a scoring blade, so I'm going to use my cutting blade just to cut along that line, and I'm going to do the same the other side. I'm going to join this line to this line here. So I can see each of these sides is a little over 3 3/4, near enough 3 7/8. So I'm going to cut a square that is 3 7/8 inches square. Then I've got this piece that's 3 7/8 inches, and I've got this piece that is 3 3/4 inches. And I've cut these from the paper pad. So that's from this sheet here that has all the flowers on, and I'm going to use these flowers for the focus on all of my cards today. So you can see these are a couple that I've cut out these side pieces, and so I'm going to add those onto this smaller square, and I'm going to pop them up on foam pads. Then I'm going to trim these little bits off the edge, and then that thanks will go across there, but we'll add that on afterwards. I've got a 2.5 by 5 3/4 inch piece of this paper to go under here, and then I've got a 5 1/4 inch square piece, this stripy one. And then I'm going to glue that bigger square onto here. You notice I've put in the glue onto this piece because I don't want to get it over that halfway point. And then I'm going to glue this onto there. So then I'm going to add some of these little foam strips behind the thanks. And then I've just got some of these gold gems, they're not a brand, and I'm just going to pop some of those down the outside of this diamond, just on the pink bit. I want to put it along there, but I don't want to put it too close because I don't want to stop the mechanism of the card from working. I'm just going to dot a few around here as well. Then that's that card finished. Then for my second card, I've got a 6 inch by 8 inch piece of cardstock, and I'm going to pop that in this way. I'm going to pop it in at 1 inch, and I am going to cut from the 1 inch mark to the 3 inch mark. and then from the 5-inch mark to the 7-inch mark. And then I'm going to move it up. So the easiest way to do this on my trimmer is so that the bottom is at 4 inches. So you're cutting at 2 inches. I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to do 1 inch to 3 inches, and then from 5 inches to 7 inches. And then I'm going to move this up to the 2-inch mark. So I'm doing it 4 inches from the top. I'm going to do the same again. And then I'm going to move it up to 1 inch, so it's 5 inches from the top, and I'm going to do the same again. So I'm going to turn this round and do some scoring. 1 inch from the top, I'm going to score 2 1 inches, then from 2 to 4 inches, and then from 5 to 6 inches. So you can see I've just scored from this score line to the end, in the middle of these two, from this score line to the end. Then I'm going to pop it in at 2 inches, and I'm going to score right the way down. And then I'm going to put it in at 3 inches, so that's 5 inches from this end. And I'm just going to score those areas that I didn't score on this first one. So I'm going to score from 1 to 2 inches, and then from 4 to 5 inches. And then I'm going to repeat that on this side. So I'm going to put it in at 1 inch, and then I'm going to score from 1 to 2, from 2 to 4, and then from 5 to 6. And then I'm going to put it in at 2 inches and score right the way. And then I'm going to put it in at 3 inches from the top, and I'm going to score from 1 to 2 and from 4 to 5. So then we get this really interesting shaped card. So the score lines that are all the way round, all the way down, I'm going to fold those both ways, and then you can see where the lines go. So this one has no bend here, so this one's going to fold that way. Then this one's going to go the opposite way. This one's going to go up. This one's going to go down, and the final one's going to go up. So then I can just varnish those score lines like that. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. So then I'm just going to decorate this by adding these strips of paper. It's the stripy pink paper with the gold stripes on. And I've cut those to measure about 7/8 of an inch by 5 3/4 inches. And then I'm going to add some frame heads to the back of this big flower that I've cut out of that same paper that I showed you for the last card. I'm trying to keep them quite central because I don't want them to, I want them all to stick on this area here, not this. And then I'm going to add on this foiled sentiment. So I forgot to tell you about sentiments when we're doing the last card. I'm using 3 sets of hot foil plates and dies for this, and all of my sentiments today I've hot foiled in gold onto navy. So this is the one I used for the first card, so that's the Large Thanks hot foil plate and the Large Thanks die from Alex Siberia Designs. So I just hot foiled this onto the navy and then used this one to cut around it. You can see as well, if you've not got a hot foiling machine, you could just buy this and die cut some gold cardstock in the smaller one and layer that on top of a navy one cut out with this die to get a similar look without the foiling. Then this is the one I'm using for this card, so that's this Thanks here. You can see that's the hot foil plates and the dies in the same set, so that's the Be Bold Glimmer Sentiments from Spellbinders. And then the other one that I'll be using is this Mini Everyday Sentiments from Spellbinders. So there's a load of sentiments in this one, and then you've got these to cut them out as well. But I know you all have sentiments in your stash, and if you've not got a hot foil machine, then you might want to do some heat embossing or something instead. I will link below to a hot foiling video, like a starter video, in case you want to learn more about the hot foiling, because it is really cool, but I know not everyone has one of the machines. And then I'm going to dot around a few more of these gold diamond teas. So then what I usually do with these cards is to flip it over and put a white panel down here with my message on, and then you can fold it up like that to put it in an envelope. So that's really pretty. So then my next card is going to be a diamond popper. So this is a 5.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. I'm going to score it at 2 3/4 inches and at 5.5 inches. And then on this big square, I'm just going to make a mark at 2 3/4 inches here, at 2 3/4 inches the other side, and then at 2 3/4 inches at the bottom as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this corner here, so I'm lining up these two marks. Then I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to line up the two marks. I'm just lining those up on my cutting line, and then I'm going to cut them across. Then I'm going to score from this line here to this line here. So that's a 2.5 inch line here to this line that we've cut down to. So you're scoring it right across the middle of the card. And I'm going to do the same in the opposite direction as well. I'm going to score from this line to this line here. So then I'm going to fold along all of those score lines. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push these lines here backwards so that diamond here pops out. And then I can fold it down like that, and I can just fold along those score lines. So that is my card base, and that is how it will go into the envelope like that. So then I've cut a 2.5 inch square of this stripy paper that I used on the last card. I'm just going to cut that from corner to corner. And then that will give me two pieces that I can add to these corners here. So I'm going to add those on. And then I'm going to pop some glue under here on this triangle. I'm going to glue that down to there. And that will make this pop up. And then again, I've got another one of these flowers. I'm just going to trim this bit off because I don't want this bit because it's right on the edge. And then I'm going to pop that flower up. And then I forgot to show you the set that this Congrats is from. So I'll pop that on screen now. It's another set that is hot foil plate and die setting one. Then I'm going to pop my Congrats up on foam pads too. Then I'm going to dot around some more of these gems. And then I'm going to add a few more of the gems down here as well. So then there's that card done. So then for my next card, I've got a 10 inch by 7 inch piece of navy cardstock, and I'm going to use my big scoreboard for this. If you don't have a big scoreboard, you don't need one. I just find that this just scores a bit deeper. So I prefer to use it where I can, but I find the other one that I was using before is easier if you're doing like diagonal lines and stuff. So I'm going to score this at 2.5 inches, and I'm going to score it at 7.5 inches. I'm going to create a gatefold card. So I want to make sure that that goes really nicely into the centre. And I've actually never made this style of card before. It is something that I saw a video recently, and BB Cameron was making one, and I really wanted to have a go. So here's my go. So then I've got this piece of paper and I cut it at 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 inches, and I just cut it down the middle to create these two panels. So then I'm going to glue these on, and then we'll get on to the special bit. So you can see that meets really nicely there now. And then we're going to create a special locking mechanism. So I've got 4 navy ovals, and to create those I've used this largest die of the Essential Ovals dies from Spellbinders, and I want to fold 2 of these ovals in half. And I'm going to really varnish that down the middle. And just bear with me a minute, because you'll see once I've just created this the cool locking mechanism that it makes. So I then need to line these up like this, and I'm going to glue one of these ones to the front and one to the back. So now we've got the 2 ovals, but we can open it up at the sides. So then this becomes a locking mechanism, because we can slide one side of the card front into each side of the oval. Then that can go down there, and it keeps our card together. Now you can see that mine is kind of a bit open here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim a small bit from the edge of each side, because you can see where there's a couple of layers of cardstock in the middle. It's not fully meeting, so I'm just going to trim a tiny bit on, so you will have a gap down the middle there a little. So I just trimmed off the slightest little slither, so you can see there's a gap down there now. And then I'm going to slide that on to have a look again. And you can see that that goes flat now, or as flat as it can with a piece of cardstock in the middle. So then I'm going to pop this flower up on the topper. And then I'm just going to use a bit of foam strip. I'm just going to use this Happy Birthday from that Many Everyday Sentiments set. And then we'll add a few of the gems again. I just feel like the gems add a nice bit of kind of like glitz to that. So then that's that card finished, and then you can slide off the topper and just open it up. I'll pop some probably cream cardstock in there to write my message on. And then for my final card for today, I've got another 10 by 7 inch piece of cardstock, and I am going to score that at 2.5 inches and at 5 inches. And then I've got a 4 by 8 inch piece of cardstock, and I'm going to score that at 4 inches and at 6.5 inches. So I'm going to fold this piece like this, and then I'm going to fold this piece back again. And I'm going to do the same with this. I'm going to fold this like this, and then I'm going to fold this piece back again. So we're kind of making a zigzag card. I think different people call this card shape different things. So I've got a piece of paper here from the pack that is 4 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches. And these two pieces both measure 2 1/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches. And then for here, I've got this piece that measures 2 1/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And this one measures 1¼ inches by 3¾ inches. And then I'm going to glue this onto here like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is just glue this side of here. Put that so it's roughly in the middle of my front panel. And then I'm going to glue on the back of here. I need to make sure my panel closes nicely, so I'm going to push this down like this so that it's closed and glue that onto there. So that then looks like that. It closes flat. And then I'm going to take the final one of these big flowers and pop this up on here. And then I'm going to use this Sending Birthday Wishes sentiment. Gems to finish. So then there's my final card then, so that opens up like that. So then there are all 5 of the cards that I've created for today's video. Some of them are quite big, so it's actually quite difficult to get them all on the screen. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video and that you'll have a go at some of these cards. If you did enjoy it, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got new videos available. All of the products that I've used for today's cards are listed in the description below, and you can also find a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.